Hi.
Hi.
Um, it's Monday evening. Well, it's actually pitch dark, so that's too bad. It feels like midnight. Uh, and here we are. We have probably exactly 45 minutes to talk before I have to run to a board meeting. So we're having a hard time thinking of anything to talk about, except I was totally freaked out by the Elon Musk clip where he said we wouldn't have phones anymore. And I'm not freaked out because I'm, I love my phone, but because what he said it would be turned into. Uh,
Yeah, like it's gonna like it'll whatever your device is, like it'll be so in tune with with who you are. I guess he's probably like feeding off the Neuralink stuff that he has going on, right? So that this new device that he wants to give everyone in the whole world will be able to know before you want a coffee, before you know that you want a coffee, go into your bank account, I guess, order it from Starbucks or wherever, and then just tell you after the fact, so the machine is like really becoming part of who you are. It sounds like so. And I was talking this morning. I thought that's really scary for like a lot of like. Is this machine gonna have any morality? Like because there are some things that it might sense in your neurons that you want that you shouldn't want, right? And then if in like in your own like volitional world, you would say, oh, that's a desire that I shouldn't pursue. But then the phone is gonna pop it up for you, right? Buy it for you, or
yeah, well, he said the word video. It'll create any video that you want to see.
yeah. See that? So imagine like a 14-year-old boy or 15-year-old boy with with a device like of that sort, trying to be a Christian, but then he has natural desires, and the phone figures that out and provides him with pictures. That's just
Like video.
right, right.
Yeah. I I'm not gonna have this whatever it is. I've gone as far as I'm willing to go into the world of phones. He didn't call it like he kept saying former device formerly known as a phone, and then he had some other word, edge or something. So I guess it's just like a flat screen or something. I have no idea what I'm even saying. And everybody would have one because he also thinks was it him that said we're not gonna have nobody's gonna have to work. Like there's gonna be so much stuff that no one will work.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Like you said, in 30 years, no one will have to work. We're all going to be so wealthy, I guess, because AI and the advancing technology will figure out how to give everyone food and material comfort. So if you have a job, it'll be more like a hobby. You won't need to work. No one will need to work. We'll have so much excess wealth and power, I guess. Well, I mean, I don't know. So who's going to like you were saying this morning? Who's going to distribute this stuff? Who's going to decide what people have on offer? Like
Yeah.
because the reason why we have products we want right now is because we pay for them, and so companies have to figure out what we want and produce them. But if and that's driven because they want to profit. But if there's no profit to be had anywhere,
Well, then like, I mean, I guess whatever you want that
oh, and it can generate it. Your phone will generate it
your
or something.
device will know that and be able to communicate with the robots in the factory or whatever.
It's just
And then
they'll
the
communicate.
sort of night underbelly of robot work will all set in motion to deliver food and take your laundry to the laundry place. And all of the deliveries will happen during the night with all the Optimus robots to having stuff been generated out of your neurons.
So your
But
AI
there,
robot factories are going to figure out what you want from the neurons in your brain and just produce it. They'll overnight figure out what it like Santa's elves will figure out what it is, and then they'll they'll make it in their AI workshop, and then Optimus Prime will deliver it in a driverless car.
except that there will be like governmental overload lords who uh, disembody people who are not well, probably disembody them, unalive them. People who decide that you don't get to have an Optimus robot because your social credit score is too low. And so there's got to be some
I mean,
governor of who actually decides what people get and when.
the I like Elon Musk. I think he's very interesting, and he's trying to do his best for helping humanity. But one thing that he seems to lack is, uh,
Discernment.
well, or an understanding of the depravity of humanity. Right. So his vision of the 30-year utopia is like what would happen if there were no sin, right? If the people, if we all wanted the good and we were all good people, um, then we could have this utopian future because nobody would manipulate the AI or the Nero whatever's to even think of giving you a social credit score. But that's what's going to happen. We're going to be the capacity for the working of evil with the device. It hooks into your brain and knows the thoughts of your hearts. I mean, it's just
Well, so you said that the two things that really make humans human, procreation and all that that entails, and work, those two things are set humanity apart from all other species. That
right.
we can do work that we are inclined to ourselves, like we're not beasts of burden. I'm sorry, there's a dog growling and cat crying. This is Lucy the cat who needs to be here right now. So, we make more people who are in the image of God. That's what human people do, which we don't have to do because we have all this uh, artificial ways of getting people. So there's going to be unlimited people that are created through various technologies that Elon is working on, so that we're not going to run out of people, but they're all going to be like, you know, factory grown. So I don't know what, your humanness means if you're made in like a external womb with all the different things that you genetic modify you do. So you can make people. So, but you don't, I don't know in whose image they're being made. And then you take away work. There's no need to work, which is interesting because I feel like Elon Musk works really hard doing things he enjoys and he earns fantastic amounts of money. Like he is a person who works. But what does that do to everybody's humanness when you take those two things away as non-essential to who they are?
Well, I mean, those are the two main things that were given to us in the garden, right? I mean, we had he created a man and a woman so they would multiply and fill the earth, right? And that was the first command. But we'd have to wait for the future for that. You're talking about factory-made humans or whatever. We'd have to wait. That's how what the effect of removing that drive from the human race is already here because of pornography and other things, and birth control. So a man doesn't have he doesn't have to go and do as best that he can to get a woman because he has his pornography. And so that part of the utopia where we don't need sex actual sex is already here. We need to push after a woman is already here. Um, and that's we've seen the effect of that, right? We've seen how that's destroying men and women. Um, Men are becoming apathetic, lazy, and cruel. Women are becoming selfish and um, you're all the stuff which we see every day displayed on the internet. But without work, I mean, man, I mean, I hated the idea of getting a job when I was 18, 19 earlier. I didn't want to work. And imagine if I didn't have to. And the thing that I went to basic training because I didn't know what to do with myself. And I know I had to do something to, um, and if I hadn't had if I hadn't had soul crushing work in my life, I would have been a spoiled. You would have hated me. You would have despised me. It's, even if I became a Christian, it would have been a lot of time before I would have be anywhere near marriageable.
Yeah,
But
so I was wrong. It wasn't Elon Musk. It was Brett Weinstein. I probably said his name wrong. That said this, and it was that clip where he said, "We're not Elon or whoever is saying that we're not going to have to work. We'll have such wealth that."
he was talking about Elon.
Yeah, he was. But I'm just saying he was the one that said, "What's going to happen to us when we don't have a need for sex and we don't have a need for work?" And he's not a Christian. He was just like wondering what's going to happen to our humanity. And y- yeah, I feel speechless. Like I can't think of words to describe how bleak and hideous and terrible a future like that seems. It's like the very, very opposite of a utopia. I mean, no utopia exists, but like Elon Musk is charging towards like a kind of salvation. He sees the end somehow, like things are going to go badly. If we don't do something, we've got to go to Mars because we're destroying the Earth. And so he's just trucking along. He's a philanthropist. He's trying to do good, but strangely, he's fixed on the two things that destroy everything. Sorry about the dog. Um, let's see. Cracker says, all I can sorry about the dog. It's in stereo coming into my headphones. I don't know why anybody's coming over to our house. He says, all I can think of from notes from Underground, where he says something along the lines, give man everything he wants and eventually he will want to destroy it, all just for something exciting to happen. Um, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go stop them. Sorry. Keep talking.
Yeah. So the idea there, I guess, is that we have to have some kind of excitement in our life, and without some kind of endeavor, some kind of thing to happen, and if it's not building something because there's nothing to build, if it's not pursuing someone because there's no one to pursue, uh, the the self will turn inward. What was that? Was there somebody you have him mute? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, somebody
What'd
came
you
through
say?
the door.
Oh, one about someone who knows us or someone who's trying to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
something.
No, no,
Okay.
no. You know, so it's fine.
Okay.
Just forgot, and they kept going. Yeah, sorry. What were you saying?
I was just saying, like, if there's no one to pursue and nothing to build, then the self turns inward. Like you self becomes destructive because that's the only thing you can do um, at that point. So it's kind of bouncing off of.
Which is, I mean, interesting. I was thinking this weekend how so there's more young men going to church than young women now for the first time in human history.
And we have seen this in our church. Like we've had like some young women leave and some young men come. It's very interesting.
Yeah, like there's young men who are just walking in, and
Very conservative young
women,
men.
conservative young men, and yeah, women, maybe not young women, but women are having a harder time fathoming what church is and what it's for. And so it's obviously great for young men to come to church. N- No, that is not a sad or bad thing, but it is an absolute catastrophe for women to leave the church. And they they leave saying things like, it's too sexist here. There's too much misogyny. There's just some major gap in how women now are conceiving of the entire exercise, what it even is. And this strikes me as really a surprising thing because through human history, women have, on average, I think, been more pious than men. Women go to church when men don't go to church. If you read anything from 200 years ago, there were all the jokes about the men going off to do other things and the women dutifully going to church. And back farther than that. Women in the early church went to church because of the great benefits that came to them through Christianity, that ameliorated their condition, that uh, brought them dignity and purpose along with salvation from their sins. And so it is really an amazing thing that women would, in particular, fall away uh, at such numbers or not come at
What's
all.
the connect? I'm not getting the connection you're drawing between that and what
Well,
we're.
because I think we can already see now for the church, when you destroy everything for women, when you take away what is essential uh, to their biological nature, and you do it for long enough. So we've been doing it now for 75 years or something.
Okay, so you mean
Then you can see what happens spiritually. Look at the average
so when you take the emphasis
woman.
off, you make it possible for a woman to not have to have babies. She doesn't
Yeah,
want to.
right,
And make it not a value anymore to have babies.
right.
And then the church having been a place where women with babies can be cared for
Yeah,
and helped along. Um, and of course, the church isn't just about family; it's also about individuals who are going to be single and going to be living their lives for Christ. Absolutely. But when you make, but this isn't that, right? The we've created a women who would like to be single their whole lives for their career or whatever, or until they're 40 for their career, not for the church. So it's a different thing, right?
yeah.
And then men
That's at scale.
and
So
scale, right?
you do it not just like one or two women, particular women, but you do it for an entire population, you know, and you message it continually. Like you continually
You can be,
say
you don't
you
have to get married. You can be by yourself. You can live for your career.
yeah,
But
but or you should hold out for love's young dream. You should hold out for your soulmate. You should never compromise for your career.
Mhm.
You should find a man who will fully accommodate you with no compromises on who you are, your self perception, everything that relates to you um, takes preeminence, and a man is going to, of course, come along and fit in with that because that's what men want you to do. And so then when you get to be 45 and 50 and you discover that you're alone in some profound sense, there's nothing you can do about it at that point. It doesn't matter. So people aren't going to go back to church then. You just so we this is what Brett Weinstein was saying. We've done that for women. So now let's do it again. Let's do it for men. Let's take away work, the kind of creative building empire work that uh, you know, probably characterizes masculinity in a certain kind of way. Let's take that away and give everybody everything they want. What will happen? I mean, he wasn't saying spiritually, but what will happen spiritually? What will happen for the church when no one has to earn an income?
Well, you
People,
can see what happens like when you see a man who retires at say 65 but doesn't have anything else for him after that.
yeah.
What happens? Men deteriorate pretty fast. They become less. There's nothing driving them, and they become listless, and many of them die before they should get sick and die. Um, and so imagine your whole life having nothing to build. It would just be, yeah, you suck. You take everything that is a man away from him.
Mhm.
Not that work defines you, but it again, it's a garden. Labor is a garden institution. It's a
Yeah.
part of the created order. So remove the necessity for it. You steal away. Uh, uh, you carve out his chest, as C.S. Lewis might say.
Yeah.
There's nothing there after that. So yeah, it's horrible. It's a horror story. Um, and then I mean, imagine a bunch of these. What? And I can see the same kind of thing happening in church. If men are raised without the notion that you need to go to work, what then becomes of the church? What
It all becomes our like we're all just supposed to have hobbies. Of course, it won't affect me because I just love producing content. So I'll continue to do that for free. I mean, the church is a volunteer effort largely. People come and use their labors in church for the sake of other people. And there isn't no most of the people who do work in the church are not being paid. Uh, you know, everybody can do something in the church for the sake of other people and not be paid for it and care for others. It's
I
not
mean,
a monetary thing, but
yeah.
if you, I mean, if you take it all the money away and just give, I don't think people will have hobbies, but I also, um, let's see, Cracker says church was treated too much as a non-essential, similar to that of hobbies, opposed to religious commitment to Jesus as the very thing from which our lives flow and for which we live. I guess an unintended consequence of this would be that the church would become a sharper, more obvious distinctive from the world because there would be a lot of people to take care of who were cut out of the social credit system.
Well, I mean, I think I remember reading Rod Dreher's Benedict option, and I thought, yeah, I'm not sure I would be in favor of this. However, if the world does develop along the lines that Elon Musk wants it to develop, and there's no work and no men pursuing women, the church I think has to create an alternative culture where its own enclave of reality where there isn't where we purposely decide we're not going to participate in the technological advances. We're not going to have the phone that wires into your brain. Um, we're not going to be using birth control. We're certainly not going to be looking at pornography or indulging in things like that. So we're going to kind of recreate a different type of society over and against the other one within it, but over and against the other one. Um,
So we all become Amish essentially.
I mean, that's what I guess. I mean, I don't see how I don't see how. I mean, the technology is becoming. What was that book you read? We both read.
Against the machine.
Yeah, the technology is becoming the beast, right?
Yeah,
It's
or it
it,
already is.
it's become so advanced that it's beginning to meld with humanity itself, and then what happens? Um, what are you
Well,
doing?
Ariana says, no, as Rihanna, that's hopefully the work of the Great Commission provides something to give one's life to. For the secularists without work, I truly don't know what there is to do or build. Um, yes, see. Oh, Cracker says he rebuts that interpretation all the time. That must be Paul Kingsnorth. I don't know what he did say it was the big demon, but um I mean, yeah, I think people will give up and become Christian because they so not everybody, but a lot of people will give up and become a Christian because if you were wondering what everything means and what you're here for, the acceleration towards nothingness is, you know, got to be a benefit.
But the technology keeps you from asking that question
Yeah.
because it's so fast. Like the scroll, you're scrolling through your phone. You don't ask that question. You can spend 24/7 on an immersive uh, video game as a young man, and your mind's tricking itself into thinking you're building something because you're building your Elder Scrolls character or whatever, and and so you don't, it's simulated. Life is simulated now. Like sex is simulated with pornography. Building or adventure is simulated in video games. So I don't know they won't become a Christian. I think that as the technology increases, it'll so tap into the center of our brains that used to drive us to one another, and it'll isolate people further, and they won't know they're miserable. They won't know this is bad because it'll be so entertaining. It'll be so uh, pleasurable, um, that I don't know that people will be able to break away from that.
Well, when do they get these devices planted in them? Like at birth?
Well, I think like wasn't it the I don't be conspiracy theorist here, but doesn't wasn't it the World Economic Forum's plan that everybody would be single, living in their apartments, hooked into the internet and the AI, and they would be delivered food, and they would be given uh, pornography, and they'd be given video games, and the government would control everything that way. I mean, that's kind of the plan. I mean, to save the earth, right? Because we got to save the climate. So the best way to do that is to get everyone out of their cars, in their pods, wired in to state entertainment, and you have utopia.
Yeah. I don't I I I believe you. I have not paid attention to the World Economic Forum because it totally freaks me out. And I I know. I'm glad that I finally found my level. Like, I'm not gonna have this implant. I don't know what it is, but I'm not gonna do this whole screen thing that he's talking about. So I guess I'm gonna be shut out of polite society because I'm not gonna do that. I will get rid of my phone. That's a little malapropism. Um, Joshua says COVID has proven that the pleasure derived from tech will never be satisfying enough to fill our natural desires. People will just seek further for the sacramental. There is, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some
I mean,
people will, well, young men are waking up and growing souls, like some of them, given everything that's available now, are saying, I don't want that. I'm going to go to church. I think
right? But do you think that's a
it's
natural thing?
not a, it's not a majority though.
Do you think that's a natural thing, or do you think it's the Holy
No,
Spirit?
no, no.
But
I
without
don't
the
think it's
Holy
natural.
Spirit, though, I think what's going to happen is that the tech will be totally satisfying enough. I mean, without actual people being converted to Jesus through the work of the Holy Spirit, I think people will be totally happy with the tech. It's going to get better. I mean, it's good right now. I know men who are perfectly happy in their basements with their video games, and so I don't know how to get those guys, except for if they happen to hear a sermon or happen to hear uh, something preached to them where they believe. I think the fallen nature is perfectly fit for these times, and the technology is gonna I think that guy was right against the machine. The technology is the beast. Just-
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I believed everything that Paul Kingsnorth said without any reservations. I thought we haven't doomed enough, I think was the point of his book, and I believe him. I I enjoy dooming, but I haven't. Well, I mean, yeah, I I agree with you. I don't think there is anything without the help of God, but I think that God, well, you can say God is drawing people out of it at more greater numbers than I would have um, expected. Um, yeah. Cracker says, Tilda Tech overlords say we can't play videos anymore. Yeah. Well, I think you were trying to disagree with me, and I wasn't disagreeing with you.
For me,
Yeah.
well, no, I was not disagreeing with. I was adding a different kind of look at it than Joshua was. I was like, because he was saying
Oh,
people will seek for further for the sacramental. Like, I don't know that people will seek further for the sacramental. I think those who are being drawn by the Holy Spirit will, but I don't. I think left to our own devices, we'll build the Tower of Babel. That will be a cog in the wheel of the construction machine of that tower.
yeah, but there is a great growing desire for not the machine. I mean,
I'm the part of intellectual thinkers, and I guess yes, some young men are getting that. But I don't know that I I just I
well,
personally think the advance of this technology is going to be so great, and so and it's going to provide so much pleasure in people's lives that
I don't know because the Honest Broker says that the pushback of ordinary people against AI uh, is substantial. So the problem with the AI companies is that they're investing in each other in a circle. So it's not like they're growing. They are caught in this loop and they're forcing AI stuff on the population without the population wanting.
yeah
And so like if you look at how people react to AI music and AI, what is this Lily, this character that was made, Lily or whatever, that's in movies or going to be in movies. There's a fierce rejection of that by some people, not based on Christian faith of any kind. Uh, so, I mean, that's encouraging. I don't know if those people didn't have to work, what would happen? Like if you really took away work and they only had AI, I don't know. Some people wouldn't accept it, but you're right. I think I don't know. I have no way of knowing.
yeah.
Yeah. Why? Why says you? It's the dumbing down of the population that is the most critical. Well, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about Elon. I just wanted to quietly freak out. Did you have more stuff? He seems like a psycho to me.
I like Elon. I think he means well. So
I know. Yeah, but a lot of us mean well, and we still go on and do really. Like,
I mean,
humanity means well.
if anyone's going to get to Mars, Elon will get us to Mars. I mean,
I
that's
don't want to go to Mars. I don't want to study the kind of salvation that's available this way. Yeah.
well. I mean, I was. Did you read that article I sent you?
No, I didn't
No.
have to. The first things,
Yeah.
what was it about?
Well, it was about the '90s, the Christianity of the '90s.
And that it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was like because it went through it went through the music, the CCM. It went through the web radio shows like Adventures in Odyssey and there's several others he spoke of and wrote about, and then the Veggie Tales, which is huge in the '90s, and then the purity culture stuff. And he made the argument that you've made before, which is that people looking back on that now and turning their nose up, it's ahistorical. They need to go back and think about what was happening, what parents were worried about, what was on offer in the world, and parents really were trying to protect their children from real threats that have borne
All
fruit.
been true, all come true.
Yeah, exactly.
The one
The
person who has been right about everything is James Dobson.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what he's kind of saying is that, these guys may have made some mistakes. I mean, they were no one's perfect. I mean, and they may have taken the wrong course here or there, but by and large, they knew where the culture was going. I mean, he said, yeah, what one huge glaring error in '90s Christianity was this focus and emphasis on ethics and morals, which was good, but it wasn't always paired with a focus on the gospel. So you have if you don't have Christian if you have kids being raised in a Christian culture like that, he said you could like he described the life of a kid in the '90s. You could wake up in the morning, um, you know, pray your prayers and then listen to watch a Christian thing on VeggieTales or whatever. Go to school, have your prayer around the flagpole. Uh, Go to Christian bookshop after school, pick up the next latest Frank Peretti novel. Um, go to church youth group that night, and after youth group, eat pizza, watching VeggieTales, and then go home. It's like you'd be surrounded by this culture that was being built in the '90s, which was intended to protect kids from the other culture out there that was
Yeah.
encroaching. Um,
And that's interesting because uh, our daughter was watching Friends for some reason. She came up, so she watched just a little bit of Friends on YouTube or something, and she was horrified. She is so disgusted by Friends, which is like for most people in the '90s utterly banal. It was like not a big deal, funny, but it's when you look at it, it's morally reprehensible all the way to its core. And that's what Christians were up against. Friends. Really slick, shiny, well produced, funny secularism that was eating everybody's soul out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it made sense to try and create a separate culture, a different place where your kids
Different
could be read.
media.
Yeah, where your kids they could listen to Christian music, they could watch Christian movies, they could read Christian books, they could go to their church, and they would be protected. Is the idea.
Which is
And
a
yeah,
good desire.
yeah, I became a Christian during those days. I became a Christian in the '90s. I remember, one of the first Christian books I read was Left Behind. It had come out like, uh, uh, or maybe 2 or 3 years before became a Christian. But I was told by someone at church, "You got to go read this book, man." So I read it. I was enthralled. I was like, I didn't know, I didn't know that there was like several different ways that it might come down, that Jesus might come back. So for me, that was the only way it's going to be like this. It's clearly based in the Bible. Um, so it was, I bought every book in the series as it came out. And I got the gospel from it. It did have the gospel in it. I read Frank Peretti. Um, I,
So did I.
huh?
So did I.
Yeah. Um,
I
but
read
so
a
that,
lot of Janet Oakey and Grace Livingston Hill in the '90s.
yeah, yeah. I didn't buy a "What Would Jesus Do" bracelet, but um, but those at the church I was going to, the Episcopal church I was going to. Those were all over the place. Um, and I listened to Focus on the Family every day. I listened to or all the Christian radio was big. I didn't like CCM, but I liked the Christian radio because you have a preacher on every hour. It was really good. But there was like a subculture there. Um,
Yeah.
it was heavily coded toward the political right. That's absolutely true. But I can almost see a reason for that now because the political left has really become so gutted morally. I mean, in the '90s, it wasn't as gutted morally. You could be a pro-life Democrat.
Mhm.
You could be pro-family Democrat. Um, there were some, but the lefts, the crazies in the party, the far left people were driving it um, way off kilter. And I think people like James Dobson saw that, and so did.
In the book I'm reviewing right now, they say, I wish I had it to hand, but I took it downstairs. They say, like, they quote Dobson as saying, if people don't begin disciplining their children, we're going to end up in total societal collapse and degeneracy. and they quoted it like this was an outrageous thing that he said. Can you even believe it? And I thought it was the funniest thing ever because literally everything he said, 100% true. And look at just the whole trans movement, the destruction of children through transing, thinking that that was even a thing is so morally abhorrent, so horrifying that there
Yeah,
are
no, I'm
any
thinking like,
Christians who are like, oh, maybe this is okay. Maybe we should do pronoun hospitality. Like in the 80s and 90s, not a living Christian would have said anything like that.
well, the average Joe on the street wouldn't have said anything like that.
No.
If you transport a guy from 1995, not even a Christian, just immediately from there to 2023,
And you describe the process that a person goes through to do that.
it would just, I mean, he would,
Wouldn't have, no.
this is be a horror story.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but here we are,
Yeah.
and guys like,
And so, quote, Christians can think that Dobson was wrong about anything. And then in the same book, and then you really do have to go, they say something like, anybody who thinks that love ever involves pain is, uh, you know, totally off the rails or something. Quote,
what?
like, can you even, some people try to say that love sometimes has pain associated with it. I was like, did the authors of this book ever even one time read any of the Bible? I mean, we're in Job at morning prayer, so there you are. But wow, wow, wow. Like Christians are off the rails in many cases here. So I can understand why women and men are leaving the church. But yeah, 1995 man would need the loony bin. That's true.
Yeah, he would be, he would just be insane. He would really think he'd been transported to dystopia.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, because he would have.
yeah, yeah, that's what would have happened.
Okay, well, I'm really sorry this is so short. I have to go because I'm on the board of a pregnancy resource center because I am a good person. I'm just kidding. It's a board meeting and I'm not qualified to be on it, except that there I am.
I
And
can
you
just,
have a Zoom meeting. So we have to go. We're going to have a snowstorm tomorrow. So that's getting exciting. Hope everyone has a wonderful evening and is good as well as happy. Bye, everyone.